I hope so. It says on air.
It does, doesn't it? But
Yeah. Everything looks very different now.
everything does look very different now. It says we're live,
Mm-hmm.
but it says record. I'm curious if that is... You know what? I'm sitting here like, how do I find out if we're live? Like, I can't look where we're live.
Yeah, you could figure it out.
I'm
You're
like,
capable of it.
I'm like, how does one figure out if we're live right now?
I mean, for me, that would be a truly perplexing question.
Like, how do I find out if we're live?
Okay, that'll do.
I've done it.
You got it.
I've quickly solved that problem.
You did.
All right, let's see if I remember how to do all this.
Yeah, it has been a little while.
It really has. Yeah. All right. I theoretically, yeah. All right. I think I'm ready.
Okay, then 3, 2, 1.
Totem Talks a podcast. A music-based podcast.
Okay, that was pretty good. I mean, I had a feeling I knew where you were going with it. It was just going to be verse or chorus.
Yeah.
So very good.
I figured why not ruin everybody's audio immediately by, deciding at 10 a.m. to start a falsetto, the first thing I sing today.
An early preview of the quality of the rest of our discussion.
Correct. As it always is.
Indeed.
Oh, welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Totem Talks. This is season 8, episode 19.
Wow.
And basically, we found 6 things and are just throwing them at each other, 3 things at a time.
Yes, that was the theme.
Yeah.
The list of 3 versus a different list of 3.
And we'll see. I mean, here's what I'll say. Before we get into the music of it all, I think if we really pitted these 3 things against each other, one would very clearly win.
I guess if we had like an anthropomorphized version of each one of the things and they faced off in battle, then yeah,
I just feel like
there.
One is the Avatar and one is just a dude. Which is fine. It's fine to be just a dude. Nothing wrong with it.
There's some merit to the other 3 things, even if they wouldn't put up a fight necessarily, or they don't have that much physical power behind them. You
know what? Before we get into all that, how are you, Nick? How are you doing today?
Pass.
Cool. So that's Nick. Nick is passing today. I'm Pat. We are Totem Talks, a music-based podcast based out of Earth.
Largely on Earth.
Most of the time on Earth. If you are not from Earth and are listening to this, please come say hi. Come be on an episode.
Come take us away.
Come be on an episode.
Wish to be here.
If you're an alien and you are interested in Earth-based music, or introducing 2 Earthlings to your style of music,
I would be so fascinated.
Let's do it. Let's hang out.
For sure.
Either way, today we are covering 2 Earth-based bands. And Nick, why don't you go ahead and tell us who they are?
We are kicking things off with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And then, as you hinted at the beginning of the show, we'll be wrapping things up with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes, which... Before we get into the music again, now the names are out there, Earth, Wind, and Fire, 3 elemental forces, will probably whoop the ass of Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah, but there's merit to Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yes, but I'm saying if you're just pitting the 2 of them against each, or the 6 of them against each other, without the music, we're going to get into the music.
That's only one way to evaluate the.
true. It's true. Either way, I'm going to get us started here.
Please.
Did I remember to do it? I did. I'm so proud of myself. We're going to kick it off with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So Blood, Sweat, and Tears is an American jazz rock music group founded in New York City in 1967. And, see, this is what's been happening.
Oh, no, what happened?
This is what I was worried about.
Frozen?
I am kind of frozen.
That's okay.
All right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to just cut out that virtual background. Doesn't need to happen. Sorry in advance, people. You're going to see boxes. I just recently moved.
Unbelievable.
I know. You're going to see the boxes from my recent move. The camera has come back on. Very good. Hopefully it will stay and just work and not be a problem again.
Fingers crossed.
And if it is a problem again, I will just simply break every monitor in this room and cry.
That's what I would do.
Either way, let's go back. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is an American jazz rock music group founded in New York City in 1967. And they were active from 1967 to 1981, and then mostly again active from 1984 to the present day in different lineups and without recording music. Right. So they became mostly a touring group from that point on. But we covered 3 albums. So we started with Child is Father to the Man from 1968. Winner of one of the creepier album covers I've ever seen.
Oh, it's so interesting.
It is very interesting, but to say it's not creepy would be a lie.
It would.
We followed that up with the eponymous album, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, also from 1968, a busy year for this group. And then we wrapped things up with Nuclear Blues from 1980. And as I mentioned, post 1980, they didn't really release music. They did mostly touring. But Blood, Sweat, and Tears is my group, so I will get us started here with Child is Father to the Man. And I'm going to start off by saying I knew one song by Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I knew we'll cover it in a later album, so I had no idea what was going to be coming on here. I knew roughly the style, and that's basically it. What I wasn't expecting is like excellence, because this band is fucking really good.
Yep.
And I was not prepared for it at all.
It's a good surprise.
It was a very good surprise. It was a really nice surprise. I loved this whole album. It was really good. It's got the horn section that you're really craving when you hear the word jazz, but it's a rock band. This is rock that is just using horn sections and using some jazz melodies and harmonies to like accentuate a rock sound rather than kind of fully fuse them together. It wasn't a full fusion group. It was, at least on this album, it wasn't a full fusion group. It was a rock band accentuating with a horn section. And I really enjoyed it. I thought that the songs were very palatable, because one of the things that I was a little concerned about just kind of getting the vibe of the band was like, is this going to be just a bunch of like 12-minute long instrumental pieces that are going to be boring to the average listener? Because I was not aware of any success this band had had. I knew one hit. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, wasn't that at all. All the songs were palatable. The longest song's like 8 minutes long, and that was totally fine. It's hard to pick any like real negative here. You have Al Cooper crushing it on. He was amazing on it. And I just think all the way through, there's really not a weak spot. The vocals are strong, if not incredible, strong for the genre.
Yeah, and multiple vocalists.
Multiple vocalists, because you have Al Cooper singing some vocals. You have Steve Katz singing some vocals. Mm-hmm. You have backing vocals done by a few different people. It's like really got everything I particularly like.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it, and it was a little bit longer of an album, not super long, but I listened to like the 60-minute one. There's like a 49-minute
gotcha.
original release, and I listened to like a 60-minute one
with a couple extra.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you've died again. So I'm gonna assume since you've died that I should talk about this album instead. So I'll get in the hopes that somewhere out there, Patrick can hear me. And I fully agree with pretty much everything that you've said here. But you mentioned that there was an interesting cover here, and you didn't. Oh, hold on, you're calling me. Yes, hello.
Yeah, we blew a fuse. Give me a second.
Okay, very good.
Just so you're aware.
Okay, sounds good. I'll wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few minutes.
Oh, sounds good. Blew a fuse. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.
Okay. Hi, everyone. And by everyone, I mean no one. Oh, wait, Keith's here. I can check out the chat. Well, Keith, Pat blew a fuse, and he called me to tell me that he destroyed the electricity in his condo already. So I will be waiting for his return before I say anything else. Yeah, good times. Just can't seem to win. Oh.
Hello.
We alive?
Yes, I'm alive.
Okay, excellent.
I'm so glad. Wait, you were able to be live this whole time? Oh, thank God. I thought I was going to have to restart the whole stream.
Nope, we're good.
Oh, good. See, everything's great. Everything works out.
Everything's perfect.
All right.
So anyway, where were we?
So, Blood, Sweat, and Tears' first album, Child is Father to the Man.
Are we restarting that?
We can.
Okay, do you want me to just jump in?
Yeah, why don't you just, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed this album. It was an album I was not expecting to like just because I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't expecting to dislike it. I just had no expectations. And it was a really enjoyable listen.
Yes, 100%. This was an instant addition to the library. Pretty much an instant, like, all right, I'm going to start listening to all the Blood, Sweat, and Tears albums based on hearing this first one. It was that good. Multiple vocalists, both good. The writing and arranging on all these songs is fantastic. The musicians are really good. There were no songs that missed at any point. I mean, you mentioned that it's a rock album with jazz influences, but it also has a lot of classical influences. It has kind of like a soul R&B influence to it. It's like there's variation in the songs and influences, and they all make their presence felt at some point or another. And I love that it starts with the overture and ends with the underture. I thought really cool touch, which we'll expand on with the next album because this became a pattern for them, which I think is really cool. And then the particular song, just the second track, I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know. I think if you're looking for one off of this album to see if you dig it or not, check that one out. So now, with that being said, I can get into the eponymous non-debut, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And this album does the same thing as the last one in that it opens on an arrangement of a classical piece, Variations on a Theme by Erik Satie, and it closes on another version of that piece, which I think is really cool. I appreciate the full circle nature of it. And this, just like the first one, the songs are amazing. It's kind of genre defying in the way that it's composed, but it all flows together instantly. Like, I added this one to my library again right away. Super soulful record. Spinning Wheel is the big hit, which is awesome. You've Made Me So Very Happy is the other one on here that I know, which is also a fantastic song and a great vocal. It was another easy A. I mean, like, clearly this is a band that's just getting like a perfect report card through 2 albums for me. And I also thought it was cool that in like their longer piece, Blues Part 2 on here, they went in and kind of hinted at like several other blues songs, include like there is a little homage to Cream because they had Sunshine of Your Love and Spoonful kind of mixed into the jam there, which I thought was really cool. But another A+ record, like fantastic work by them.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you at all. Now I had expectations.
Yeah, sure.
So now I was like, okay, and this is the same year, so I wasn't expecting a ton of growth, and there wasn't any, to be fair, which is not necessarily a bad thing when you've already hit the nail on the head.
Totally.
I don't need to hear a ton of change here. One thing that, I guess for me was a big, inclusion was Spinning Wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Really thoroughly enjoyed it. You also have David Clayton Thomas, who is, I think, because of Spinning Wheel, the singer that I associate with this band, who was in and out of it for a while, but did come back for Nuclear Blues. So we'll hear him again. But this is another like A if not A+ album.
Definitely.
Quite frankly, it was really, really freaking good. I did also like the Variations on a Theme.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that really tied together really well. Blues Part 2 is an 11-minute song, and it's almost 12 minutes, so I was expecting to get bored. Wasn't bored for a second. I listen, because it's a blues song, but it's, it felt more like a medley, like you mentioned, because there were pieces of other songs involved. I was really happy to hear that. I was happy to hear the whole album. Another A+ for me, which I was a little more expectant towards, but not But I'll take us into Nuclear Blues. And here's the thing. I'm terrified of this album. Because it's the 80s now.
And no one
and
is
I'm like,
the same in the band other than, as you mentioned,
Right.
Clayton Thomas.
Clayton Thomas, who came back.
Right.
Who has come back now. So I'm like terrified. And I didn't need to be. I will say this is probably my third of the
Mhm.
3 albums. But I don't want to give any spoilers away. It could also be my third of the week.
Sure.
And because this, I mean, it's still a really freaking good album. David Clayton Thomas is, again, like I mentioned back on vocals. The vocals are good. This one did not chart as well or was not perceived as well. We'll talk about why. A lot of that has to do with the bridges burned by the band.
Okay.
In the years between.
Yeah.
There was a big thing that happened. But musically, still really good. The Spanish Wine Suite was ridiculous.
Super cool.
All the way through. I don't have a bad word to say about any of the music we listen to from this band, which is very rare, especially when I start to listen and I'm like, I have to find something I don't like to talk about. And I just didn't have anything.
That's good.
I will say the vocals are good for this group.
It's the worst they've been, I think.
Yeah, the vocals are good for the group, though. Like, they're good vocals for what they're doing. But I would not compare David Clayton Thomas or Al Cooper, any of the vocalists we heard on this band, to like any of the really uber successful rock bands or like musical artists. That if I had to say something was lackluster, it would be the vocal. But I think what they're doing fits this genre so well that it's hard to critique.
Yeah. So this was the album that I was nervous to hear your opinion on, because the first 2 like had a lot of elements of classical and soul mixed in with rock and jazz. And this one right from the start is a jazz fusion album. Like, this is the one that is most clearly like, this is jazz fusion. And Agitado was such a killer opening. I thought it was a fantastic song. And while maybe it was the weakest vocal album of the 3, as good as the musicianship was on the first 2, this is the album that had the best musicianship. I mean, it was out of this world good. The covers I thought were really, really interesting. Like, their version of Manic Depression by Hendrix was like, they made it very much original on their own, and I liked it. And the same thing they did Drown in My Own Tears, which I don't know the original artist, but I'm familiar with the Ray Charles version. I know he didn't write it, but like, that's what I think of when I hear the song. And I think they did justice to that one too. Again, like, they're very much their own versions of the songs. They're really good arrangements. They stand on their own as worthy of listening to separately from the originals, which I, still enjoy a lot. And I'd say it's another extremely strong record, despite this basically being a new band. I mean, like, everybody in it was fantastic. I mean, they did a really great job. So,
yeah, I mean,
no complaints from me.
3 A's to A+ for us, which is incredibly rare.
It is.
I'll give you a little bit of fact. I'll tell you off the jump, could not find meanest or nicest, although kind of have a meanest based on, we'll talk about it, but I don't have a nicest. Not to say they haven't done nice things.
Sure.
It's to say that they're not public about it, we'll say. So I'll think the unique thing about them is this is like one of the first or earliest instances where a horn section was used in like a rock band.
Sure.
It was kind of like one of the initial uses of that, which is pretty unique because I think it's something that's used in different groups.
68, right? So Transit Authority comes out in 69, and
it's
Wind
close.
and Fire comes out in 69, I want to say. So it's sort of like
Earth, Wind and Fire comes out in 71.
Their very first album wasn't until 71. Okay.
Their very first album was 71.
And then Ides of March is also right around like 70-ish. So like, a lot of the bands that I think of in that space are coming out like shortly after 68.
I agree. And everybody attributes that one Ides of March song to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. which I thought was funny. It did not. I don't remember if we talked about that.
Yeah.
But like the Ides of March has that one song.
Vehicle.
I can't remember the title now. It's a Vehicle, and everybody was like, "That's a Blood, Sweat, and Tears song."
I did not realize that was
We covered Ides of March first, so I didn't even it didn't process to me. But so I would put if not the first, one of the first. It's like the big thing with them is like this is a new sound that is coming up in this time, and they're definitely one of the groups that popularized it. That's pretty unique. The highlight has to be, even though we covered it, it has to be Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the album, the first eponymous album. It spent 7 weeks on the top of the US charts and then won the Grammy for Album of the Year in 1970. It has a bunch of different like big popular songs, and When I Die, You Made Me So Happy, and Spinning Wheel all peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's the album that put them firmly on the map.
Yeah.
And kind of made their sound explode.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so the low light / meanest, but I won't really say meanest once you find out the context. So basically, in 1970, which was a contentious time in America,
isn't it always?
In terms of the average American citizen's stance on a certain war going on.
I think I've heard something about this.
Yeah, so the band went on a 3-week goodwill tour sponsored by the U.S. State Department.
Great guys
which angered a ton of their fan base and listeners because, rock and roll music listeners and rock and roll artists were typically anti-Vietnam.
Correct.
And that kind of really burned a lot of bridges with the band. Abby Hoffman, I don't know so Abby Hoffman, one of the Chicago 7, a huge, anti-Vietnam protester, like publicly started bashing the band. His comments went public. They got printed. Everybody just kind of assumed that the band became like shills for Nixon, and in the Vietnam War, it led to a lot of problems. Now, that's a low light for the band because it caused a lot of consternation. It caused a lot of controversy. A 2023 documentary comes out.
Okay.
And they basically reveal that the United States State Department strong-armed and blackmailed them into doing it by threatening to revoke David Clayton Thomas's Canadian visa.
Now, that's the U.S. government that I know.
And they deported him to Canada, and were like, we'll let you bring him back if you do this tour. Otherwise, he can't come back into the country.
That so checks out. Everything about that sounds exactly right.
Yeah, so it's a low light. It can be a meanest thing in the way it was perceived, but
okay. I mean, when you have the full context, I find it much harder to blame the band.
Exactly. It's not. It was so Rolling Stone, which we need to look at this list. I haven't looked at the list, but in 2022, Rolling Stone came out with a list, the 50 worst decisions in music history. And that was number 7 on the list, which is before the documentary.
How many entries on the list are previous Rolling Stone lists?
At least I would hope one for the self-awareness, because most of them suck. But I want to look at that 50 worst decisions in music history list, because that came at number 7.
Okay. Okay.
It is what it is. I mentioned I don't have anything for nicest. The 6 Degrees, there's a couple that I could go with. They're all kind of the same thing, which is Blood, Sweat, and Tears has covered many artists. Sure. We saw 2 of them.
Hendrix and Charles.
Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix, and also we saw more than 2 of them because Steve Winwood is credited as a writer for Smiling Faces from that album.
We'll hear more from him next week. No spoilers.
True, but we also heard some of Sunshine of Your Love, which
heard some
Cream, which
Spoonful
brings Clapton, and Spoonful, and the other one. So, and the other one is on the first album, Child is Father to the Man. They covered Harvey Nelson.
That's Hagrid Nelson.
Harry Nilsson. Hagrid Nelson, there it is. But Harry Nilsson. So the one that we didn't listen to that I wanted to call out, because I listened to it and I'm telling you, you need to listen to it because it's very strange.
Okay.
They covered Fire and Rain by James Taylor on Blood, Sweat, and Tears 3.
I'm interested.
Yeah. They also covered Sympathy for the Devil on that album. And I'm very curious what you think, because I think the word painting, or not the word painting, but like the tone of the song is a little too different.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I want to hear your opinion on that. So we'll reconvene. But honestly, Blood, Sweat, and Tears 3 could be something we listen to at the end of the year, or another album from this group.
Yeah. Oh, I have no doubt we will be hearing them again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But that will be all I have note-wise for Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Well, then I suppose we should move on to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
All right.
And I'm good to go if you are.
I am. Oh, hello, Keith.
Yeah, Keith's here. He's hanging out.
Hey, buddy. Were you here when my
he was.
fuse blew? Okay, good. You gotta love it. I did find out why. It's because so I'll give you a hit while I'm pulling up.
Is there a plane overhead at your place right now?
There's a train.
Okay, I can hear it rattling by.
Yeah, that happens. We chose for me to be this one and not our bedroom to be this one, which I agreed with.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's like I'd rather have it happen when I'm here doing
freight train or SEPTA train. It sounds like a freight train. It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, that sounds like a freight train. Which, whatever. I'd rather them happen now than at like 2 in the morning.
100%.
But yeah, so I had a little space heater on in here because it's full of boxes. I don't feel comfortable putting the baseboard heater on when there's still stuff in here. So then I was like, okay, cool. So I've, and this is on me partially, I forgot to tell Sydney how to turn on the baseboard heating out there. But we have that, like, you've been in our apartment where our entertainment console is. Like that entertainment console, there's a space heater in it with a fireplace. So she turned that on, but that mixed with me also having a space heater on
everything. Yeah,
that was enough that it.
Understood.
So, I turned the baseboard heater on out there, and I just didn't turn mine back on. I'm fine. Even though I'm sure I could have mine on now, and it would be fine, but I don't want to risk it. All right, I am. Wow,
that's
pretty crazy.
Hear the train coming.
Well, hey, luckily we're not going to be recording too often at, almost 11 a.m. on a Saturday.
Not too often.
No, and this doesn't happen. Like the freight trains don't come, obviously, when we would normally record because real trains come. Much faster, though. All right, Earth, Wind,
I was going to say, in my life, I have lived within the sound of both. So,
yeah.
Very used to it.
All right. I'm ready to go.
I'll let you introduce them then.
All right. Earth, Wind, and Fire is an American band formed in Chicago, Illinois in 1969. And they are technically still active. So 69 to 84, and then again from 87 to the present day. Not unlike Blood, Sweat, and Tears, with a little bit of a gap and then just forever after that. The difference is we are covering albums that they have had in their second interim as
Correct.
But we did start with, and this is a big shout out, an eponymous debut, Earth, Wind, and Fire from 1971. We followed that up with All in All from 1977. And then we wrapped things up with Now, Then, and Forever from 2013.
All right. And I will jump into Earth, Wind, and Fire as they are my group. So this is, I will start by saying, if you know the band, which most people do to some extent, not necessarily the album that you would think of. It doesn't necessarily have like the big hits that people think of when they think of this group. However, I really felt like the quality and the personality of the band was already coming through pretty clearly. It was obvious that, you know, even though they hadn't maybe reached their peak yet, that this was the Earth, Wind, and Fire that we would hear like really break out and be immensely successful thereafter. It's obviously like they have a lot of fun on these albums. Not only are their performances really high quality and the songs really enjoyable, but it's obvious that the band loves them and it loves playing around in the studio and is having a good time together. So I thought this was another really strong record. I listened to all of Blood, Sweat, and Tears first, and then all of Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I'm like, at this point, I'm feeling 4 for 4. And then I read the Robert Christgau review, and he did give this album a C plus. He said this post-soul big band isn't as messy as the sum of its cross references. Sometimes the expert vocal harmonies neither fit the concept nor assert any personality of their own. It's like, oh, their expert vocal harmonies have no personality. Like, what are you talking about? This record was full of personality. The harmonies are great. I mean, I think harmony is like clearly the one place where Earth, Wind, and Fire has an edge on Blood, Sweat, and Tears in terms of their vocal ability and their writing of harmonies. But this was a really, really strong debut. And it was also like they were repeatedly compared to Blood, Sweat, and Tears upon this album coming out as like, oh, they're sort of like a more soulful version of Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah, which I get.
For sure.
Listen, this is an album that I thoroughly enjoyed. I also did the listening in that same order, so I listened to Blood, Sweat, and Tears first, and then Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's hard to not hear the similarity in the style. Sure. It's there with that jazz influence. I'll say that the difference is, for me, like Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a rock group with a horn section, at least for the first album, like, and the second album. A rock group with a horn section that uses and interpolates on some jazz melody, but isn't necessarily jazz fusion yet. This comes out and is jazz fusion right away, but it's not necessarily mixed with rock. It's mixed with like funk.
Yeah, funk, soul, R&B.
Yeah, but I would say like soul and R&B, I think are there. But I think funk is the one where it's like that sticks out more with the jazz. It's like jazz and funk, and then like you have that like little soup of R&B and soul mixed in there as well. And I hear the R&B and soul more in like the harmonic use and like the melodies themselves rather than the overall tone of the music. All that to say, like, it's still very enjoyable. It's a really fun listen. This is an album that I legitimately would be raving about if I didn't just listen to 3 A+ albums. Like, this is probably like a B+ album for me. Still really enjoyable, still really palatable. The jazz fusion elements, like it's very short too.
Yeah, just under half an hour.
The whole album, yeah. I mean, I've listened to songs longer than this album.
Me too.
I'm sure you have. You regularly listen to songs longer than this album, but it was a really fun listen. It was a good listen. These are both groups where I kind of knew a song or two. Like Earth, Wind, and Fire, obviously which I'm going to warn you all, we did not, in our listening, cover their big hit.
Yeah, none of them really. I mean,
yeah, but
of the first, like,
they have multiple.
There are probably
hits,
like
but they're
3 or 4 songs I would think of from them before anything that we covered.
Yes, which that's fair. I just want to be clear. Now, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment of the music, just something to talk about. We will still incorporate the hits into scoring.
And I'm sure we'll listen to them by the end of the season.
And I would be shocked if we didn't. But all that to say, really enjoyed it. I'll move on to All in All. And it's largely the same in terms of my enjoyment of it, in terms of the influences of it. I think the sound is a little more elevated, especially if you're talking if we're comparing the groups between Blood, Sweat, and Tears first and second album that we covered versus these first and second album, although this is not their second released album. This is like their 4th or 5th 8th. It's their 8th. So there's been a gap here.
Indeed.
I think you're still getting a good fusion of sounds, although maybe less jazz fusion and more just like jazz elements incorporated in, like R&B and soul and funk all mixed in together a little more cohesively, which is ironic that I would say you take out the word fusion and it becomes a more cohesive sound, but that's just the way music genres work. But I really enjoyed listening to it again. I think with this group you are getting a really good product, and I think if you're going to compare parts of them, I think you're getting slightly less expert musicianship but more vocal prowess. And when I say slightly less, I mean slightly less, because this is still very talented musicians involved. I don't want to besmirch in any way.
Yeah, and the thing that I think jumps out to me first about this record is like just how tight the band is. I mean,
Yeah,
like
the pocket is strong.
yeah, I mean the band is incredibly tight. The harmonies are incredibly tight. Like this, like they're really good. They're on fire. Like they, as a unit, are fully locked in. And you get like another classic album. I mean, I know it doesn't have September or Shining Star or That's the Way of the World, but especially the A side, like Serpentine Fire and Jupiter, like these songs are killer. They absolutely nail the arrangements. The performances are fantastic. Like I think if you're a person who only knows the hits and really enjoys them, you could easily listen to this album and love it from beginning to end. If we were saying the first album was maybe more of a B plus, then this album is clearly back into the A territory for me.
I fully agree.
Yeah, and they even have like a change up, like after the first side of this is kind of straight fire, the second side opens on I'll Write a Song for You, which is like pretty big change up piece from what you were getting before. So they have, you know, their ability to write different types of songs is showcased a little bit. And I'm a fan. I'm really digging it. It's been a good week. So then
it's been a really good week so far.
So then it's up to Now, Then, and Forever to sustain how good of a week this is. And I want to start by saying this is this is definitely album 6 of 6 for the week. But that doesn't mean that it was bad. So I started listening to this on I guess a YouTube video of the album that turned out to be all wrong. So be wary of this. They like played the first half of the first song. It had like clips of all the songs, and then they would just cut off into like random studio noise. And I'm like, wait, this first song was actually like a really strong start. Like they were grooving. Why did it end abruptly? And then I figured that out and I listened to the full version of it. And there are definitely, you know, the band performances are still really strong. I could pick out a couple of songs that were interesting. Like I really love the short song on this album, Bella Horizonte. I thought that was a really cool Latin jazz type track that again, like showed a little diversity of sound. I think my biggest problem with this album, obviously, like they've evolved with the times. It's 2013. I feel like I would have liked this album more if they recorded it on the same equipment that they recorded in 1977. I think there's something to be said for a band. Yeah, for a band that's already like perfect, like their performances are already perfectly tight and polished together as a group. So when it sounds like a little overly cleaned up, it kind of sucks a little bit of the life out of it. Like I think I'd rather listen to this album again and again. Not that I thought it was bad. I'd rather listen to this album as a live performance by the band than listen to it as it's recorded.
Yeah, I think you're exactly correct with my big gripe on this album as well. It feels like there was a concerted effort to polish out any like human element.
Yeah. It just doesn't. There are a lot of bands that are so good from the era of the 60s, especially like funk, R&B, jazz and influence type of groups, that to get as good as they were like just super tight and spot on. It doesn't sound as good when it's overly produced. It sounds better when it feels live?
Modern production elements, and pardon me as old man yells at cloud, but modern production elements are in place to make two things happen: to make music production easier, because now really anybody can produce music. Like,
That's true.
granted, I don't have a fully sound treated environment, but I have the equipment right here where I am to produce music. And where, in my old place, I literally recorded vocals for like different songs in my old apartment.
Yeah.
Not for us, but
Yeah.
for freelance stuff. But that's not something that you could do anytime before like the 2000s, I'll say. But because of that, the real the real crux of that is anybody can do it, which means they have to make it idiot proof
Sure.
to the extent. And then you can kind of delve into the specifics of it.
Oh, Pat's
But
AI.
the modern
Pat's AI. He said delve.
I said delve.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Probably put an M
so
dash in there too. The transcript for this is gonna.
I'm so sorry. Wow. Spoken like a true teacher has to deal with that all day. But anyway, the point of it is like you mentioned, like when you really are talented, it almost hurts you to overproduce.
Yep.
And like we've run into that, so we work with our band with an excellent tech and producer. Like he's a great dude. But sometimes, especially early on, he would be like, I got these like really cool programs, and he'd run it through, and I'm like, that makes it sound
a little too
like work, because I feel like our groove is strong together.
Yeah, especially when we're doing live recording type stuff. For a lot of bands who are capable of doing live recording type stuff, it just sounds better when it's live and everyone's in sync with each other.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things you can do in modern recording is like make it sound like you're all in the room performing together, because I feel like it's so easy to do each thing individually, but like a really good tech will either be able to record the whole band together or be able to
too.
Yeah. Or there's just things you can't do. Like there's just things you can't do all in the same room. And then it's the job of a good producer and tech to make it sound like that's happening. Like to not break the immersion. The same way when you're watching a movie, like you're watching the Avengers, you need to be in the immersion that they're all flying and have superpowers and all that stuff. Even though we all know it's green screen and riggings and whatever.
They don't use real superheroes.
I'm so sorry to burst your bubble on that. But it's the same thing in music. Like you have to not be able to break the immersion that when I'm listening to this, like my mental picture is they're all in one room on a stage singing and playing to like one microphone that's recording it for me. And this failed. So I would argue that the onus falls on the producers and the production more than the band itself. No offense to the production or the producers.
Yeah, just didn't quite fit what we were looking for.
No.
Okay, well, if that's that, I guess I'll say some things about this band. I will have to tell you that I couldn't come up with anything mean about them. So
that's fair.
My apologies.
I mean, my mean was a government.
Yeah, that wasn't their fault. As far as nice goes, though, I was able to find that they have supported a boatload of different charities over the years, like Amnesty International and Autism Movement Therapy and the Michael J. Fox Foundation and Music Cares and the Red Cross and Why Hunger. And there were a bunch of other ones, but I was just like, that gets the point across.
Yeah.
So there's that. Their highlight, I was thinking about it. There's a lot of things, but I guess Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award is a tough one to top, especially because like in honor of your Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, your songs were performed by Stevie Wonder with Pentatonix to do the vocal harmonies. So that's kind of cool. I have to find that performance now that I know it's a thing. Now, the low light is something I had never heard of. And it's like, it's not even the band's fault necessarily. It's related to the band, but it's not like they did something bad that sucked for them. Have you ever heard of Hot Foot?
Maybe
Hotfoot.
that sound
Okay.
the term sounds familiar, but I
Okay.
don't know what it is.
So Hotfoot was a jukebox musical of Earth, Wind, and Fire songs. And it was panned so brutally that it opened in April of 2006. And by July, it had closed forever, losing all $8 million of its investment. And it was reportedly, and I quote, a nuclear meltdown of a jukebox musical. So it was apparently they have one of the worst jukebox musicals ever in history.
Yeah. Fun fact about jukebox musicals, real quick. They are very easy to get really, really wrong. You know what? So jukebox musicals are the musical version of like a film adaptation of a book.
Okay.
That's what it like. Yeah, you can have like some musical adaptations of books as well.
Mhm.
Like Wicked is one of them, but jukebox musicals are like the cash grabby. Like, they can
Yeah.
be.
Oh,
They can be
definitely.
really good. Like Jersey Boys
Mhm.
is a jukebox musical, and of Frankie Valli and the Four
Yeah.
Seasons, and it's an excellent
Buddy
musical.
Holly story.
Buddy Holly story, excellent musical. Like Beautiful, the Carole King musical, excellent musical. There's like a ton of them. Like Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette musical was really good. It was perceived well. But there's a ton of them where it's just like, let's just throw a bunch of generic story plots that connect a bunch of songs from an artist. And when you do that and you bring that to a theater, like, and you put that on Broadway, and everyone's like, but where's the story? Like, I'm here for a story. I'm not just here to listen to music. Sure. If I wanted to listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire music, I would listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire music.
Yeah.
Especially since they're still touring.
Right.
I could just go to a concert.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
But yeah, so
one of the worst jukebox musicals, I guess, ever. But let's get to what's unique about them. And after kind of struggling to pick what I wanted to talk about here, I figured this is unique, but I also think it's a major badge of honor for them. So as a very jazz and soul oriented group here.
Yeah.
For Miles Davis to come out and unequivocally say that Earth, Wind, and Fire was his all-time favorite band. Only one band that we've ever covered could ever be the favorite band of Miles Davis, and Earth, Wind, and Fire is that one band.
For now.
That's I don't think he's going to change his mind anytime soon. I haven't heard much from him in the last 30 years.
I got a Ouija board, man. I'm going to let him listen to our next album.
Okay. But they're also Dionne Warwick's favorite band. And Quincy Jones's.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's pretty cool. And then last but not least is 6 Degrees. So what I found out in my research this week is that their album, That's the Way of the World, is actually the music for a film called That's the Way of the World, which stars Earth, Wind, and Fire alongside Harvey Keitel, who, of course, also starred in Pulp Fiction. And there's two ways I can go with that. I could say Bruce Willis was also in that, and we listened to one of his albums on this podcast.
Yeah, we did.
And that movie also heavily features Chuck Berry's You Never Can Tell Teenage Wedding, say whatever you want to call it. That song. And we've covered Chuck Berry as well. So there we go. 6 Degrees that way, too.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a movie that they were all in. And it's just interesting. It's like Harvey Keitel and Earth, Wind, and Fire. What a cast.
That's actually such a weird connection. I love that, though.
Yeah,
I love that. All right. I guess there's only one thing left to do.
It's time to grade them.
Let's grade them.
Okay. So I think we've got some decent grades here. I'm not sure what you've, in terms of the resume of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, how much you've unearthed here in terms of if they're like minimum points that they're going to get here. I'm not sure if they're in the Hall of Fame or not. If not, they should be.
I don't see Blood, Sweat, and Tears. There's no notation that they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Really?
I'll tell you that a few members are in different halls of fame. Spinning Wheel is in the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, and so is oh my god, I was talking about him nonstop. I can't remember his name now. Clancy Thomas. Jesus
Clayton
Christ.
Thomas, yeah.
Clayton Thomas. Oh my God. Wow, my brain just would not find that. But he is in like the Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Songwriters Hall of Fame and stuff
Mhm.
for Spinning Wheel and for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So a little bit of that, but like the band itself, I don't believe so.
Okay, that's crazy to me. That
Well,
they,
yeah, it is super crazy considering like
I feel like they should be in it.
no offense to him, but like Eminem got offered to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before Blood, Sweat, and
Yeah,
Tears.
right. And again, my stance on all this is just call it the Music Hall of Fame,
Correct.
and just let great artists from every genre in. But Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I feel like is pretty foundational and influential, especially like you mentioned to like the very beginnings of rock and jazz fusing together, rock with horn sections. I feel like Blood, Sweat, and Tears is one of the progenitors of that, and I feel like they definitely have some importance and influence as part of their legacy. So I would feel kind of crazy not giving them at least, a handful of points here. I mean, not as much as Earth, Wind, and Fire, who I think are obviously going to score super high.
Yeah, I mean, there's aspects of them that are going to deserve points here. I think they're above it. I think they're slightly above average.
Okay, I would have felt kind of
Slightly.
crazy going above or below 5 for them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I wouldn't go below 5. Some things like I mentioned, Clayton Thomas is inducted into multiple Canadian Halls of Fame for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Al Cooper was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for musical excellence, in no small
Okay.
part to his contribution to Blood,
Yeah,
Sweat, and Tears.
right. So they're just like, well, we'll just induct just Al Cooper and not the rest of the band. That doesn't make any sense to
Yeah,
me.
I mean, Al Cooper's done a couple other things. Like I know he played
Yeah,
on Bob Dylan
he's played
songs,
on a ton of other
and
records,
he's been
but
around. But like,
yeah, I mean,
you
he's a
know,
legendary musician, but I don't know. I feel like Blood, Sweat, and Tears should be in as well. But I don't know. Let's give him 5.5.
I love it.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, I feel, just at least give you the full resume before we give them their score.
Sure. Lay it out for me.
6 Grammys, 4 American Music Awards, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Vocal Group Hall of Fame, NAACP Image Awards Hall of Fame, Hollywood Walk of Fame. They have BET Awards, they have ASCAP Awards, they have the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award.
Like
Every
like a 2.5. 3.
yeah. I don't know. I think they have that, plus the fact that they've also sold over 90 million records worldwide and are one of the most successful bands in history. I mean, like it has to be like at least approaching a 9.
Yeah, so I think that is pretty good. I think that's a pretty good score, right in the 9s.
Yeah.
I want to, when you get to a band this big, right? When you get to a group that's this big and this well known, I feel like we get to a point where we have to talk about why they're not a 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we've given 10s to groups of similar success. So, what makes Earth, Wind, and Fire, in your opinion, not a 10?
Oh God, I hadn't thought about it.
Right. Well, that's because when you read the resume,
I guess if you compare them to like the Beatles or somebody like that in terms of, or Led Zeppelin, how many extremely well-known songs they have comparatively, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think for me, I think
No album that went over triple platinum, like it was very spread out success
Mhm.
in terms of like a huge major. I mean, September in and of itself is like, I feel like it's one of the songs that penetrates every single demographic group everywhere in the world since the moment that it came out. And like you could still play that pretty much anywhere in any place in the country and largely the world, and people would still
it got
know it and love it.
repopularized as a meme, and it found a second life. I think for me, what takes them out of 10 category, right, is you start to change off from how good someone is. How good you are gets you into the 9s. And then I think that last point is almost the most important point of how have you and your group permanently changed the world of music, which is when you start to get to the people like that we have up in the 10s who have changed the face of music as we know it forever. And I think Earth, Wind, and Fire, that is where maybe they lack a little bit. There's a ton of recognition for them, and a ton of, the flowers are well deserved and the talent is there and the songs are great, but I have a hard time directly painting an image of like Earth, Wind, and Fire to a large swath of music today, like I would with the Beatles.
Really? Okay, because I can give you a list of artists that have cited them as an influence. Would that be interesting to you?
I mean, depending on the
Have
list, I'm
a
saying like
okay,
the
all right.
average music.
Well,
There
listen,
are things that
Alicia
the
Keys, Usher, Janet
sure
Jackson, will.i.am, Janelle Monáe, Mary J. Blige, Prince, Kelly Rowland, Wyclef Jean, Pharrell Williams, the All American Rejects, Solange
that's
Knowles,
that's that's cap.
Outkast,
All American
Gloria
Rejects is
Estefan,
cap.
Jamiroquai, Melissa Etheridge, Pitbull, Lenny Kravitz.
Pitbull also cap.
Okay, Justin Timberlake, Bonnie Raitt, Erica Badu, Mark Ronson, Common, Amy Winehouse. Like that's a pretty
all
wide variety
all
of
of them,
artists, a
but
wide variety of
Pitbull
genres.
and the All American Rejects are legit great. All American Rejects and Pitbull are both cap. They lied. They're lying on their resume
Okay.
for that. Come on. Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide
Look,
himself.
I'm not
I'm not
saying
saying
that
that's
I
you. I'm saying
enjoy
whoever
him.
wrote that, I mean, or Pitbull himself lied. There's no
Okay.
Pitbull. Pitbull. Hey, this is not a knock on you
Look,
in any way,
plenty of people
sir.
who make music that I don't like have enjoyed music that I do like.
But there's a big difference between enjoying something and citing it
Yeah.
as a musical influence. I very much enjoy a lot of music that influences 0% of the music that we
Look,
write together.
you can dance to both of them.
God damn it. Do not. No. Mr. Worldwide, sir. Can I call you Mr. W? Mr. W. Uh I would like to have you on the show and I would like to hear just real quick call. We don't have to be on a whole episode unless you want to be. Name three of your songs that are influenced by Earth, Wind, and Fire, because I can't for the life of me think of any.
Okay.
And Mr. All American Rejects as well. If you could, please let me know the same thing. I'm
Okay.
not saying I don't like your music. Well,
Right.
one of you I'm not a huge fan
Yeah.
of, but one of you I liked for a
Yeah.
long time.
hmm
I'll let you decide who's who.
Right. But yeah, I mean, my point being, I think it would be crazy to say that they weren't very influential in like pretty much all of the R&B music
Sure.
that came after them.
I understand. I want to be clear. I'm not saying they're not influential because when you're that famous, when you're that popular and you're that successful, you naturally do influence. I just think that there's like a clear so like for the Beatles, somebody who got a 10 from us. I think there's like a clear like before the Beatles sound and a clear after the Beatles sound.
Okay.
I think that happened and like a huge chunk of rock music post Beatles directly has sounds that link to specific Beatles songs, specific Beatles movements, specific Beatles like types of music that they're doing. And I don't necessarily hear like a modern R&B song or a modern like soul song or like a modern jazz styled song or a jazz fusion song and I'm like, "Oh, that's clearly Earth, Wind and Fire influenced." I just think there's less clear lines.
Okay.
Which again, we're arguing between, because I don't think you're arguing for a 10.
No, I'm not. I
Right.
was
I'm just saying, like, they definitely earn their flowers. They're
Yeah.
going to be
I
one of
mean,
the
I
most
just think when it
successful
comes to
bands.
tens, you just have to be like one of the most popular and influential musicians of all time. Like if we
Of all
had more than like 10 of them by the time we finished every artist in history, I think we would be wrong.
I agree. I fully
And
agree.
that's the only reason that, like, if you wanted my real reason why I wasn't thinking a 10 for them, that's why. I think you have to be one of the 10 most popular and influential artists in the history of all music to even consider sniffing it. And we might have like only like 5 that get it by the end or something.
Yeah, I mean, a 10 should be roughly, I would say roughly 1% of our total group.
For sure. So I think
So
a
I
9
agree with you there.
something for them is perfectly in order.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the question is, we're above a 9.
Mhm.
Are we above a 9.5?
I put down 9.3, but you feel free to argue me in either direction from that.
I think a 9.3 is the perfect score here. I think this is an immensely talented group who has achieved commercial success, who has achieved name recognition. I don't think you could talk to more than 4 people before somebody knows Earth, Wind, and Fire by name.
Yeah, I would hope.
Yeah, but some people might know the song and not the
Yeah.
name. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's truly. I wish nothing more than for anybody who likes music but doesn't play music to get the chance to play a gig and have a bunch of drunk people suggest songs to you, because the amount of times the title is just nowhere close. Or the amount of times you'll get a suggestion and you're just like, that's not even the right artist. You're making stuff up.
Sure.
So it does not surprise me. It would not surprise me if we had to talk to more than 4 people to find out Earth, Wind, and Fire by name. I'm just saying it shouldn't happen.
No. Okay. Breadth of work, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, 11 albums, 5.8. Sales, definitely. Multi-platinum records in there, and so it's just a matter of.
So they had a 4 plat. They have a their second album, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, went 4 times platinum, and they had 4 other albums go gold.
Okay.
So Blood, Sweat, and Tears was really the big one, and then post 1970, they didn't have any more certifications because,
okay,
of the thing that happened.
Right. I was gonna say I don't know that I have access to any other information on how many they've sold. So the answer's got to be probably at a minimum of 10 million records here. So they are getting a little bit extra for that. I'm thinking it takes a 5.8 up to a 6-ish. Unless you find out they've sold way more than that.
No, I'm seeing around 10 million.
Okay. So then a 6. And then it's quality points. So how many would you like to give them?
I'm going to give them a 0.4.
Okay.
There was barely a critique at all. 3 A+ albums for me. I'm giving them 0.4. I'm holding off a 0.5 because I could theoretically find things wrong if I looked hard enough.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna give them the 0.5. I was like pretty blown away.
Wow.
I was pretty blown away by the quality.
This could be the first time you've ever done
Fella.
it. You really are stingy.
Fella's the only other person who got one for me.
Oh yeah, Fella got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, well deserved. I'm trying to be objective because they were my group, and I try not to form a bias, but I fully agree with adding a 0.9.
Yeah, exactly. So Earth, Wind, and Fire had 21 studio albums. I'm starting them with a 6.4, and then they have 90 million in sales. I have to add a full point for that. I don't think that's even disputable. Give them the 7.4, and then I'm going to give them a 0.4. That like the third album would normally take away a little bit, but I know there are other albums, and I know how much quality there is throughout all those albums in the 70s, and how good, that's in line with the quality of the first and second that we listened to. So I'm content to give them the 0.4.
And I'm going to give them a 0.3. Still really enjoyed it. Deserving of points. There's just a couple critiques for me. That last album does take a little bit away from me, even though I know it's not the band's fault per se. I really feel like it was production, because they were still tight in the pocket and they still sounded good
to me.
Yeah, but 0.3.
Okay, like the scores aren't really going down. We're getting instrumental talent, and I feel like these are 2 groups that are fairly elite. When it comes to the score, I wouldn't put either of them below an 8. I think it would be crazy to do that. I think these are among the better groups that we've listened to. It's just a matter of how much we want to balance, like maybe a little bit more musical diversity in the playing styles of Blood, Sweat, and Tears versus probably a little bit stronger vocals from Maurice White and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't know how much of a difference there needs to be between these 2 groups. I don't think there's a huge gap in their ability to play their instruments and perform. And it's
I completely agree.
High for both of them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I will say, for me, I have to give the edge just a little bit to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Okay. One, because they're doing similar things,
Mhm.
but Blood, Sweat, and Tears was formed 2 years earlier and released their first two albums before this band even formed.
Right.
So, like, I have to assume there's a bit of influence there.
Definitely. I mean, I think that was the opinion of
Yeah,
the reviewers at the time.
right. And I just think that Blood, Sweat, and Tears has a little bit more musical diversity involved. There, the incorporation of the rock elements, because I
And
think,
classical. I mean, I think he keeps
and
classical and
classical,
jazz, like, or rock and jazz. There's a lot of classical influence in, Blood, Sweat, and Tears' first 2
sure.
albums.
I think that nowadays when we hear like jazz rock,
Mhm.
that's like a term that makes
Mhm.
sense. I can hear it in my brain what it sounds like. Before Blood, Sweat, and Tears, that was like not a thing. So like the fact that they popularized a completely different
Mhm.
sound and like a completely different fusion sound of two, almost like oil and water at the time, and found a way to make it work and found a way to make it sound
Great.
really good and like it makes sense. I'm giving them the edge.
Okay. I'm gonna
Uh,
get how does a 9 and an 8.9 sound to you then?
that sounds great.
Okay.
That sounds great because they're both incredibly
Yeah.
talented.
And for songwriting, I'm in a very, very similar place. I think Blood, Sweat, and Tears is elite. I think their ability to combine jazz, rock, soul, and classical music all together makes them probably the strongest songwriting group we've heard in a while.
In a long
Um,
while. Yeah.
Again, this is another score for me where I feel like this group has to be in the nines. I think they do everything that we look for when we're talking about this category. And I think, I'm giving them the edge here over Earth, Wind, and Fire. But again, Earth, Wind, and Fire is a very good group. A lot of very strong arrangements that blended soul and funk and jazz. So they're not shabby here either. But I'm not looking in the
No,
nines for them the way I would for Blood, Sweat, and Tears. But they're still going to get a good score.
I agree. I think I'm definitely in the nines for Blood, Sweat, and
Yeah.
Tears. I think it's uh to bring it to like a sports reference, right? There are like certain athletes, like LeBron James will say, where no matter where he is on the basketball court, I'm expecting him to do like to be able to pull whatever he's doing and execute at an extremely high
Mhm.
level, which is not something there's specialists in categories like there's like a 3-point specialist, like a defensive
Yeah.
specialist, but LeBron James has like throughout his career been very good at
At
all of it
everything. Yeah.
and been able to pull all of those things. If they need him to step up here, he steps up here. And I feel like Blood, Sweat, and Tears is doing that with genres of
Hmm.
music. Whatever they need to write, whatever influence they need to pull to write, they can just do it and throw it and incorporate it perfectly into their
Hmm.
song. And it just sounds good, whether it's a classical motif,
Sure.
whether it's extra jazz fusion, whether it's a bit of a harder rock sound, whether whatever it is you're adding into it. That's a really, really hard thing to do and make it
Hmm.
sound good.
Yeah. And execute it in every genre. So.
Yeah, and I think I would be like a 9.2, I
Okay,
think.
I was actually a little bit higher.
Argue me up. I'm not
No,
against
I
it.
mean, I was just gonna say everything that you said, but I had a 9.5 sitting in there. I'm happy to meet you
Okay.
halfway at a
Yeah, let's
9.35, and I'm gonna round that up to a 9.4.
fine with me.
And then Earth, Wind, and Fire, I think, is more of a group that I would put around like the 7-ish range or in there. Like they're still
Yeah,
definitely above average in their ability um, to put together arrangements, especially like keep in mind like the vocal harmony arrangements here as well, which are super strong from this group. Um,
I completely
they just
agree.
weren't bringing together things that were quite as disparate,
That's what it
and I
is. They're using ingredients that already go
yeah.
together well.
So like
And they're doing it at a high
yeah, I'm
level.
still like a 7.5. I think like
Yeah,
I think they still deserve somewhere around that, but like Blood, Sweat, and Tears was kind of on another level for this particular.
I completely agree. I think a 7.5 makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Okay. And now we need poetic talent, which I think is, as far as all these other categories go, the one which I am like least impressed with both of these groups. But, I also wasn't like put off by any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is where we're kind of falling back to earth a little bit for both of these groups.
This is closer to the average.
More towards an average score. Still an average score, nothing below
nothing was
average
bad
here. I'm probably arguing like a 5.6, a 5.7 for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, because I think they are comfortably
Here's I
above
gotta
that
hit you.
average
I gotta
range.
hit you with the Pat argument.
Hit me.
There are a good number of songs on their albums, which I did not knock for when it comes to the arrangements because they were so good and unique, but where they
We
did
can talk
not write
about
the
it.
lyrics because they
Yeah,
were covers.
we can talk
I
about
think
it.
there's a couple on every album where you have to say like, well, they didn't actually write any of those lyrics, and that's pulling down from that 5.6 or
Yeah.
5.7 of the other things. Like I'd still happily give them a 5.3, 5.4, but I think we do have to take that into account a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I would argue that helps them, in my opinion, is arguably their biggest song was written by them, which is important. Again, I'm fine giving them let's give them a 5.4. That's fine with me because I think it's well earned. But like I said, Spinning Wheel, which is their biggest song, was written by David Clayton Thomas, which is a good thing for them.
And then, I mean, I don't know how differently you feel about Earth, Wind, and Fire and their score here. Is it just like more of the average, closer to just a 5? Again, definitely not below average at all.
Definitely not below average. I would argue similar. I would argue a similar score here, maybe like a 5.3.
Okay.
I think that the lyrics for Earth, Wind, and Fire felt just slightly more like retreads. It was the only part of their style of music at all that I felt was retreading anything, but like the lyrics didn't feel quite as inspired as the rest of the music, where I didn't necessarily get that same problem with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, even though, none of their lyrics blew me away. I never felt like, oh, I've heard a song that sounds like this with these lyrics before. Whereas with Earth, Wind, and Fire, like I was kind of in that range of like, it is what it is. It's still a good execution.
Sure.
But.
Okay. We get into X Factor. I think there's probably something to be said here for both of these artists.
Yeah.
For Blood, Sweat, and Tears, again, one of the progenitors of the jazz rock fusion as it comes about. There's a definitive point of something that I can't believe has not come up with them at all, which is they get a Woodstock point.
Oh my God!
But not only do they get a Woodstock point, I think maybe we need to consider giving them slightly above the point because they were a headliner at Woodstock. They weren't just a band; they were one of the few headline acts. So,
yeah, I mean maybe a 1.5 then.
Yeah,
instead
and
of just
then
the 1.
what do we give them for their contributions to jazz rock? I mean,
well, we have in the past given
up to 2 points if it's like clear.
Up to 2 points.
I think there are other bands in the mix, so they don't get the full 2.
No, but I think maybe another 1.5.
Okay, that's
for
3.
a total of 3 points.
That's 3 points. That's a lot. Okay, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think it really just comes down to a lot of the things that I mentioned before. Like to what extent do we want to give them points for having both a Grammy Lifetime Achievement as well as a BET Lifetime Achievement, as well as the Congressional Horizon Award and the Kennedy Center Honors and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an NAACP Image Award Hall of Fame, and being in like every.
Now I want to be careful.
Everything.
I want to be careful we're not super retreading cultural impact, because a lot of that added points to cultural impact.
Right.
I just want to be careful on the retread. I still think we're easily talking like anywhere from 2 to 4 points.
Yeah,
I think we're in that range.
Yeah, I'm happy to give them also a 3. I mean, there's a ton in there.
Yeah, a 3 works for me. I think it makes sense. A lot of sustained success, a lot of moments, a lot of name recognition. I also think you can give a little X factor.
Anything. Yes, I agree.
So true. So true. Sad but true.
Sad but true.
But I do think that you also can give like to add to this, like to continue with the 3, because I think a 3 is a good score for them. Like the memification of
September has
the
to be
song.
part of it. I agree. And like I said, I
Like-
do think, I mean, even aside from that, like, have you ever been to a wedding where it wasn't played?
No,
Have you ever met a person who wouldn't know it and sing along to it if it came on?
probably, but I don't like them.
I don't. I just think everybody.
I wouldn't
needs it.
associate with
Yeah.
them. I'm pretty sure if I walked up to somebody who was like, "Do you remember?"
The 21st night
know.
of September, instantly.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever thought about anything but that song on September 21st?
I did for a while because it was a friend's birthday,
Okay.
but I also sang the song to her when it was her
correct.
birthday, so it
Correct.
worked out. And I sing the song to Keith because his birthday is the 23rd.
Perfect.
It's close enough. I altered the lyrics, but
okay. Well, I have scores, and
yeah,
it was a doozy this week. So
yeah, it was 2 groups who would have won probably any other episode
Correct.
this season, punching each other in the
Correct.
face. A real haymaker battle.
Indeed. So I will tell you, winning this week is Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they won with a 42.1 final score.
And it's culturally
Yeah,
impact.
exactly.
You know,
That was the difference. And Blood, Sweat, and Tears came in second with a 39.2, which of course
which
would
is
have
the cultural impact.
Yeah,
score.
I mean, other than because this is the same season in which we have covered very, very small Richard.
Oh yeah,
but
very small.
other than him, like no one else is even in the neighborhood of
no,
of Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
no, it's been a season.
Yeah. So that's that.
Very interesting. I mean, a great week of listening. A great welcome back to the
Indeed.
season as well.
Indeed.
I want to be so clear. So anybody is unaware, I mentioned we were going to take a small podcast break. I moved, needed to focus on getting everything together. The move was, not like an emergency move, but like a short time frame to get into the place we wanted to get into. So I had to really buckle down. So I couldn't do the podcast.
Wow.
Hey, shut up. So couldn't do any listening. And I'm so glad I didn't try to push this episode to be like, because I probably could have done one more right before we moved and like just squeezed it, but I would have had like 50% of my brain involved in it. And I'm so glad we waited instead, and I got to really like experience all this music.
Yeah, it was
Because
about as
it
good
was
of a
a
week
really great
as we've
week of
ever
listening.
had in almost 8 full seasons.
It really did well for me. So I'll tell you. So another fun spoiler behind the curtain. We normally record on Thursdays, but I pushed it because my work was so busy, and thankfully, I basically had to re-listen to every album because that's what was happening. Is I was working and I was so swamped with stuff.
The
I
album
was
was over, and you're
realizing,
like, oh
like,
wait, hold on, what happened?
I was like, oh, I didn't listen to any of that album. So I'm like, I'm going back. And if I had to listen to any week's music
Twice, yeah,
like more than once each, I'm glad it was this
For
week
sure.
because every album was a
Yeah.
banger. Except for the third Earth, Wind, and Fire
if
album
that's
was just fine.
I will take that as a 6 of 6. Any week.
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
okay.
Cool. Well, this was fun.
Next
we did
week's
it. We got
theme
through it.
Is bands named after things that I hate to sit in.
Oh, okay. What a specific
Yep,
theme.
that's the theme. That's how we're comparing them. It will be bands named after things
so-
that I hate sitting in, and you would also hate sitting in, presumably.
So is it just Blood, Sweat, and Tears versus Earth, Wind, and Fire again? Because I would certainly hate
Yeah.
sitting in both of those
That doesn't
things.
sound good. I guess when you really think about it, we could probably make the case that a lot of artists that we've covered would fall into that category.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Germs and Airborne Toxic Event from earlier this season also qualified.
I also wouldn't want to just sit and cream.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I wouldn't want to just, there are definitely. I wouldn't want to sit in Scorpions.
No, definitely not.
Who else have we covered? I wouldn't want to sit in Beatles.
No, I wouldn't want to sit on.
I would want to sit in an Oasis, though.
That's true. I wouldn't want to sit. Well, I wouldn't want to sit on a 38 special just in case. I mean, hopefully
No,
the safety's
you're
on.
not wrong.
But maybe sitting on a platter would be fine, or a coaster.
I would love to sit in some small
Yeah,
pools.
it works sometimes.
Sit-
But next week,
Okay, now
definitively,
here's the
we would not
question.
want to sit in these things.
Do we rank all of our previous
By
artists
sittability?
by we'll make a full like a 200
Yeah,
group tier
well,
list.
yeah, like a little tier list. Just
of
says good to sit in, could go either way, or don't want to sit in. Just 3 categories.
This is my new favorite thing. This is my new favorite thing we need to do. Forget every other episode of this podcast. We are just going to tier list.
Do we want to sit in Little Richard? Because Little Richard wants us to sit in Little Richard.
No, he wants to sit in with us.
He wants us to watch us sit.
He's got his own chair in the
watch
corner.
us sit in cream.
Yeah. Oh, so true.
And don't forget to spay and neuter your pets.
Absolutely not. And quite honestly, while you're listening to music and having a great day, fuck Jerry Lee Lewis.
Okay. Got it. Nailed it. Feeling good.
We did it. All right. I'm going to take us off of live.
Okay.
So